Most of us have two lives, the life we are living and the unlived life within us. Between these two stands resistance.
You can have more than you've got because you can become more than you are.
You're sick of not being able to work hard on your goals, you're tired of sitting down to do a task, but you just can't find that energy to start.
And of course the other side of the coin reads, unless you change how you are, you'll always have what you got.
Look, I've been there. It genuinely sucks, because I know you want to work hard. You wouldn't be watching a video like this otherwise.
I get happier about the harder it is because I know that no one else will follow.
But doesn't it feel like there's always something holding you back from starting?
Once the mind knows you're not going to quit something,
I always felt like there was just this indescribable force that completely held me back from attacking my goals.
it's going to try to find more.
Even though in my mind I was actually really ambitious.
When your mind knows it's not going to quit, your body will adapt to whatever is in front of it.
I would set to-do lists and goals for myself, but they never got completed. And I eventually came to learn that this force is actually called resistance, and learning how to overcome it has completely transformed my life. If you have ever bought a book but never actually read it, if you have ever gotten a gym membership and didn't regularly go, or the best one, if you have ever had an exam but put off studying for it until the last minute, well then you know that feeling of resistance. And by the way, that was always me.
If you constantly run away from things that you don't want to face, how is there growth?
Resistance is the force that keeps us from fulfilling our potential and achieving our goals. It's them negative voices in our heads telling us we're not good enough, strong enough, or motivated enough to start. But paradoxically, it is actually a force that we create ourselves. See, you are the person who creates the resistance, but this also means you are the person who can defeat it.
Whatever I'm afraid to do, I do it.
It is literally impossible to set yourself a worthwhile goal without resistance being produced, because as they say, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. When you set yourself a goal that requires you to grow into someone new to achieve it, that goal threatens your current self. And because your future self and current self can't both also exist at the same time, your current self decides, you know what, I want to survive, so I'm going to produce resistance so that you don't start into your work and you don't evolve into the best version of yourself. You are probably feeling resistance right now to watch this full video, but I learned from this guy Charlie Morgan that you can't blame your current self for this resistance, because without your current self, we would not have a desired self to become. See, the majority of people have a negative relationship with who they currently are because they view themselves as the thing that is holding them back, when in reality, it is the thing that pushes them forward. And it pushes them forward by generating this resistance. And by overcoming this resistance daily, it allows you to grow into that person you've always wanted to be. So doesn't that mean you should actually really be thankful for your current self? And you know, I think it's about time we stop delaying our lives any longer. We need to stop waiting around for that perfect time to start and instead take control of our lives. Because if we are serious about wanting to become people who can really work hard and achieve our goals, we are going to have to learn how to overcome this resistance. And well, how do we do that? I found the answers to this question in a book called The War of Art by Steven Pressfield, and from that Charlie Morgan guy I mentioned earlier, who happens to be a millionaire entrepreneur. See, to overcome this resistance, you need to change your outlook on hard tasks. And in The War of Art, Steven Pressfield says you do that by turning pro. What he means by this is that an amateur thinks that the fear of starting into a task must be defeated before the real work can begin. But a professional knows that the fear never goes away, you just have to power through it as best as you can. See, when faced with resistance, you have two options. You can feel the pain now and use effort to overcome it, or you can feel pleasure now but pain later. And you will feel that pain in the form of regret. And trust me, I wasted years procrastinating my goals because I couldn't confront that pain of starting into my tasks, and it made me feel terrible about myself. So you need to start telling yourself, I am a pro, and I conduct myself like a professional, because a professional defeats resistance and goes to work, despite how he feels.
Treat it like you're a professional. So every day, at the same time, you sit down in front of your keyboard and you start working. And just put in the work, and force yourself to do it. Force it like a muscle.
By repeatedly doing this over a period of time, your self-image will begin to change into someone who views themselves as a professional that is able to sit down and do the work despite not wanting to. And whenever you are faced with a challenge in your work, don't quit. Instead, start training yourself to see new challenges as a step you must overcome to reach your goal. You also need to realize the more important something is to your personal growth, or the closer you get to achieving your goal, the more resistance you will feel. And Charlie Morgan said the best weapon to consistently beat this resistance is with the work. He says the work is defined as action, having the intelligence to figure out the work you need to do and doing it. See, the work can be viewed as taking an action your body doesn't want to take. This means your body will make it painful for you to take that first step, and the majority of that pain will be in your mental. Your mind will produce all sorts of fears, doubts, and excuses as to why you shouldn't do the work. But understand that if you want to work hard, you have to change your perception of this pain. You have to actually seek out the resistance, because the more resistance you confront and overcome, the faster you can become the best version of yourself and achieve your goals. Realize the only thing between you and your goal is this pain, and everybody hates pain. I'm no different. But if you flip your perception of the pain and begin to love evolving pain, it will allow you to grow into the best version of yourself. Obviously, I'm not talking about pain which would cause you genuine harm. I'm talking about evolving pain that comes as a result of going to failure in a set or doing a hard task you didn't want to do. These are things that grow you and allow you to become that person who can consistently work hard. And the key to becoming a person who can work hard on his goals is to face this evolving pain every day until your body eventually becomes friends with it. This shift can only happen once you realize that all the suffering and agony from the evolving pain is actually helpful and productive. Don't get me wrong, the pain from these hard things will still suck, but you will start to enjoy the pain and you will actually begin to desire it, because you start to realize that pain equals growth. Like when I began to consistently get up at 6 every morning to go to the gym and start training to failure on all of my sets, it sucked so bad, to the point I would be nervous before going. But gradually, this evolving pain I was feeling became my new baseline, and I started to get used to it. And now, nearly 10 months later, I still experience the same pain in my sets, but I don't fear the pain as much, and I'm not as nervous as before. As crazy as it sounds, I actually kind of welcome the pain, because I know I'm going to grow as a result. And it's honestly best if you can hold this mindset in everything you do, because how you do one thing is how you do everything. So if you have resistance to do any task, even outside of your work, attack that resistance and strengthen that muscle of being able to start even in the face of fear. And this will make overcoming the resistance of starting into your work so much easier, and your confidence will exponentially grow in everything you do. And you know what the funny thing is? You actually begin to like the evolving pain, because your brain has a familiarity bias, meaning your brain starts to really enjoy things that are familiar to it, like coffee for example. When I was younger, I hated coffee, and then I started to drink it a few times, and now I love the taste of it. So if doing hard work is something you are currently really struggling with, it just means you haven't exposed your brain enough to these hard tasks. So you can take great advantage of this mechanism in your brain by regularly pursuing evolving pain until your brain becomes familiar with it, and eventually it will learn to love the evolving pain as a result. I'm not even joking when I say that if you regularly overcome this resistance daily for a few months, it will completely reshape you as a person. Because honestly, I feel like a completely different person to who I was this time last year, and I've even recognized the same mental transformation in the guys I work out with. So by consistently facing this resistance day in and day out, I no longer find it as hard to start into difficult tasks. And obviously, I'm nowhere near perfect and still have a long way to go, but learning this has really set me on a good path. Understand that resistance is always going to show up, but it's up to you to decide if you are going to let it stop you or if you are going to let it grow you. Remember, what is impossible to man is possible with God. And as always, make sure to subscribe so you can join this community of like-minded people trying to improve. And also leave an inspiring quote in the comments so that we can give each other some fuel to attack our goals. Through hard work we grow. Peace.